The battle between Super Buu and the rest of the Z Fighters is heating up. Having just absorbed Gotenks, he truly seems unstoppable. Even Gohan, with his incredible power-up, is having a lot of trouble against the Majin. It's then when Goku arrives, just like in the original story. He has the Potara earrings ready to fuse with the sun when he throws it to him. Instead of Gohan dropping it or catching it, Super Buu launches an attack, firing a Ki Blast that destroys the Potara earring. He takes the confusing opportunity to absorb Gohan, becoming an even more powerful being. It's completely hopeless for Goku. He thinks of an option. Perhaps he could fuse through the fusion dance. With Mr. Satan, the power wouldn't be enough at all to defeat Buu. And now he has to get all of his friends out from inside Super Buu. Thankfully, with the help of King Yama and Uranai Baba, Vegeta returns to life. Goku feels his ki and instantly teleports over to him. He's their last hope. He doesn't want to suggest the fusion dance immediately. Even he doesn't want to do it with Vegeta, but it might be their only option. They fight for just a little bit, but eventually Goku gives in, telling Vegeta that their only option left might be the fusion dance. After explaining just a bit about what it is, Vegeta already knows he wants nothing to do with it. A dance? Fusing with Kakarot? That's ridiculous, even if it is to save Earth. Goku realizes that even if he did want to fuse with Vegeta, there's no way they could practice and learn the fusion dance in such a little amount of time, especially while being attacked by Super Buu. But he thinks of something, yelling out that he needs help. The newly fused Kibito Shin hears this while watching the fight from the Kaioshin realm. He didn't want to get involved. He knew he was no match against Super Buu. Although he was a little cocky because of his new fusion, sweat drop fell from his forehead. If he intervened, perhaps Goku and Vegeta had this one last chance. In fact, they could use his own Potara. He instantly teleported in front of them, but as soon as Kaioshin extended out his arm to give the Potara to Vegeta, he slapped it away. He wasn't going to fuse with Kakarot. Super Buu had heard what their plan was. Fusing into a stronger being? No way he was going to allow that. And if those earrings were the key, then he was going to get rid of them. But he looked at Kaioshin with a giant smirk. The god gulped. He knew what was incoming. He defended himself to the best of his abilities by teleporting or dodging, but slowly, punches started to hit him. Super Buu pulled Kaioshin up by the hair, shooting a small beam into the Potara earring, destroying it. Goku had gotten one more chance. They had wasted it. A rogue punch sent Vegeta flying off into a mountain, blood dripping from his nose. He realized the power of Super Buu. He realized that he may actually need to fuse with Kakarot. Goku rushed over to him one more time, and finally, he agreed. It was their chance. While Kaioshin was distracting Super Buu, they practiced the fusion dance. The first time, they failed. Veku was born. He wasn't going to stand any chances against Super Buu, but the cocky being jumped into the occasion, saving Kaioshin from a punch. Kaioshin took the chance to jump back, healing himself. He knew that another round against Super Buu was coming, and after 30 minutes, it did. Tag out. Kaioshin simply teleported all over the place, distracting Super Buu. But this time he was punched right in the face, sent towards the ground, where he was blasted at. Kaioshin was completely unconscious, and a small part of Buu went in to absorb him. The power-up wasn't immense, but it was enough to shake the earth one more time. Dende and Mr. Satan watched the entire fight. They couldn't believe it. They needed to do something. Mr. Satan still thought it was a dream, but he realized that Super Buu was coming in for an attack. He needed to do something, so he jumped in the way, spreading out his arms. This stopped Super Buu for a split second. His eyes widened as he looked at Mr. Satan, but he snapped back into it, slapping Mr. Satan away, just as Goku's and Vegeta's fingers touched, giving birth to a new fusion, Gogeta. It's debatable if this fusion is stronger or weaker than Vegito. There have been conflicting reports through Dragon Ball's history after all. Either way, they're stronger than Super Buu. The battle commences, and Super Buu can't believe that this being is any stronger than him, so he treats him as just any other fight. He's quickly surprised, however, as Gogeta's Big Bang Kamehameha sends him flying off into the distance. Buu snaps back around, rushing towards Gogeta, eventually thinking that his only option would be to absorb him. However, the cocky Gogeta doesn't want to waste any more time playing around with Buu. His plan was originally to go inside of Super Buu, rescuing his friends in the process. However, he has one tool in his arsenal that he thinks might be even easier in defeating Buu. As Buu rushes towards him, Gogeta speeds forward. A whiff of air hitting Buu. He stops for a second and realizes that he's getting punched. Gogeta is already behind him and he turns around with a smirk. Buu is relentless, however, swinging his head to slam Gogeta with his tentacle. Gogeta grabs it, slamming him against the floor. The fusion jumps backwards, holding his hand up in the air and creating an energy sphere. The rainbow-colored energy was then broken apart in his palm. As he clenched his fist, the Stardust Breaker then spread throughout, slashing Buu. The monster was engulfed by a bright light, and he dissolved into thin air. Out of him popped out a few figures: Kibito Shin, Gohan, Trunks, Goten, Piccolo, and finally, Majin Buu. Gogeta was surprised and got on guard again. That should have destroyed every piece of Buu. He began to charge another energy ball, but then took a second. Out of nowhere, Mr. Satan jumped out in front of Buu, begging for his life, telling Gogeta that this Buu was a good person, nothing like the one they had just defeated. Gogeta lifted an eyebrow and let out a laugh. The key ball disappeared, and the Saiyan defused into two. Goku and Vegeta slammed their fists against each other. There's also two branching paths that I see happening during the fight against Majin Buu versus Gogeta. Either Goku through Gogeta asks Super Buu to be revived as a good person, thus prompting King Yama to resurrect Buu as Oob, or he doesn't, and Oob is never born. There's of course a possibility that Oob would have been born regardless of Goku asking, but if not, then there are some consequences later on that I'll explain when I get there. Either way, the events are pretty much the same through the rest of the arcs. That is, until the Future Trunks arc. We find our heroes in the midst of battle against Zamasu and Black, but the villains reveal something terrifying. By taking one Potara off each, they fuse into another version of themselves. This merged Zamasu is too much for any of the heroes, but to even out the odds, neither Goku nor Vegeta have to wait for the Potara. Instead, they have something under their sleeve. Goku tells Kaioshin that he doesn't want to stay fused forever, and even when Gowazu tries to explain that this won't be the case, Goku and Vegeta dismiss him. They want to prove a point to Zamasu. The gods may have their own version of fusing, but so do the mortals. While Trunks and Mai do what they can against Zamasu, Goku and Vegeta get into position, fusing into Gogeta one more time. Gogeta Blue makes a plaything of Zamasu, immediately unleashing a barrage of kicks. Gogeta flies up in the air, launching a rainfall of ki blasts. They hit Zamasu with surgical precision, deforming the god into a monstrous being. But because of the amount of power, the fusion may last even shorter than Vegito. At the end of the day, it's up to Trunks to defeat Zamasu. But I believe that Whis will notice that Goku and Vegeta are working together a lot more. After all, the fusion dance requires a lot more unification with your fusee than the Potara does. Perhaps a rematch with Beerus is in the horizon. Everything up to the Broly movie would play out pretty much the same. But rather than teleporting over to Piccolo, Goku dodges out of the way of Broly, so he attacks Frieza instead. This is only for a little bit, however, as Goku immediately falls on the ground, in one of the pieces of land floating around in the lava, telling Vegeta that the fusion dance is their only option. Vegeta doesn't want to admit it. He hates using the fusion dance, and not being able to defeat enemies on his own, but he admits that they need to use this against Broly. He grits his teeth, but fuses one more time. So basically, Frieza doesn't get pummeled as hard. Broly is ultimately defeated. But the biggest change here depends on whether or not Gogeta asked for Buu to be revived into Oob. If Buu was never reincarnated, then we go down a dark path. Because in the recent Dragonball Super manga, the Moro arc finished with Goku getting a huge chunk of energy from Oob. Without Oob, Moro continues to spread all over the world, ultimately defeating Goku and the rest of the Z fighters. If the angelic power doesn't overtake him and kill him right then and there, Whis did say that with this power, killing him would simply explode Earth and destroy the entire galaxy. If Moro is somehow able to spread through the universe more, then either Beerus or Zeno are forced to intervene. Zeno could potentially destroy the whole universe like he did in the Future Trunks arc. However, I don't know if Beerus and Whis would be allowed to do anything about the fallen Z warriors, so that could be the end of Earth. There is a possibility that Vegeta could teleport away, perhaps saving Bulma, Trunks, and some of the Z fighters. After all, he just learned instant transmission. He would most definitely teleport over to Yardrat. All hope seems lost. I believe that at this point, the only option Vegeta would have is to find the Super Dragon Balls and ask Super Shenron to defeat Moro. It's a race against time. With the help of Bulma, he would be able to do it. Perhaps eventually undoing everything that Moro did, reviving Earth, and the fallen Z warriors. Either or, it's not the happiest ending, but Vegeta does get to be the star for a little bit. But that's pretty much where we leave off the timeline, at least until the Dragon Ball Super manga continues. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this new What If. I know it was a little different than others, it was less storytelling towards the end, but I'm trying to make some What Ifs that I can put out a little quicker than others. So that's why this is just a one-shot that I thought you guys might enjoy. There's not this huge epic narrative to tell, but there are some changes in the timeline that might be interesting. Part 3 of What If Bardock Went to Earth with Goku is coming out soon, and I'm currently working on some other What Ifs. Shout out to the Super Saiyan Legend members of the channel, Matthew Cruz, Zachary Croy, Jiggly Booties, and Mech. And also shout out to every single member of the channel. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate all the love you guys give me. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at ShareYourEnergy to talk to me whenever you want, and be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Anyways, guys, until we meet again. See ya!
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Smugstick, unless you want to be destroyed.
Lord Beerus, that's hardly fair. But also, don't forget to click the bell icon to get notified when he uploads new videos.